Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another session brought to you by VLAN Asia. Today's session, we are honored to have MECC with us to find out more about Act 17A and learn how to mitigate risks and how to stay compliant with new laws and policies for your organizations. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone. And if you have any questions, you can actually post them up on the section on the right hand side of your screen where there's a Q&A section. If you don't see it, you look on top of the screen, there is a blip with a question mark on it. You click on that and then you will open up the section to put your questions in there if you have any, and we will answer them after the session. And if any questions relating to products and services, you can also WhatsApp us through the number which is displayed on the screen right now, +6 012 266 0189, and we will be able to answer questions through that channel. So without further ado, I'd like to also welcome Tuan Muhammad Nur Lokman, who is the head of Private Sector Branch, Community and Education Division, MACC, who will be briefing us on today's session. And after this session, after his briefing, we will have Surin, who is our head of sales from VLAN Asia, to also share a little bit on our product, a new product that we have for you guys. So without further ado, I would like to hand this session over to Tuan Lokman.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thanks Norman for a brief introduction about myself. Okay, I hope today everybody is, we are in the mood of MCO, stay healthy, yeah, stay safe at home, and not forget, distance yourself from corruptions, because corruptions doesn't, the victim of corruptions, it doesn't care regardless of the race, regardless of the regions and backgrounds itself. Okay, for today's session, we're going to have a brief sessions regarding what are the offences, in accordance with the MACC Act, and perhaps introductions about the most, I think, prior the MCO, prior the COVID-19 outbreaks, most of the corporate world, the industry, the business community talking about the possible corporate liability in the MACC Act. Okay, for today's sessions, I'm going to share with you the topic with enhancing corporate governance by understanding legal liabilities with the inverted comma act or resign. So you don't have to resign after listening my presentations. Yeah, just act on it. So first of all, the next slide will be, you have to understand, whatever you do, whatever you act, make sure it is comply with the law. So when you talk about corruptions, the prevailing law in Malaysia is the MACC Act 2009, Malaysian Anti Corruption Commission Act 2009. In this act, it provides MACC establishment, the offences, the powers of investigations, prosecutions, and also a little bit of some court jurisdictions and etc. But for today's session, I think most of you have to understand and have to know what is corruption basically. If referring to my slides, basically an act of corruption is an act of giving or receiving any gratifications corruptly to perform or not to perform a task in relation to his or her official jobs descriptions. So when we talk about corruption, first of all, you have to understand what is meant by gratification, and secondly, you have to know what is meant by corruptly. So when we have a look at the cartoon itself, on the side of the slide itself, it says that do it for the copy or this do it copy. I think if you understand, do it copy doesn't resemble something in positive. Do it copy in Malaysia community is something you pay in order to get rid something. Let's say you want to pay being summoned by the enforcement authority or enforcement officer, sometimes you pay the coffee money. But if you pay for the coffee itself, then it's the payment for the drink. So when we talk about gratification, basically you have to look the defining section in the Act itself. Section 3 of the MACC Act define what are gratifications, yeah. And if you have a look at Section 3, you can have the access, you can have the copy of the Act itself by looking at the Google Chrome, by any search engine, just type MACC Act 2009, you can get the copy. Didn't have to go to any bookshops to buy. It is available free for you. So when we look about what is meant by gratification, gratifications include money, loans, discounts, rewards, services, commissions, position, gift, bonuses, and etc. as mentioned in Section 3. But another question that arise is mere receiving or accepting gratifications is amounting to an offense. So this is a big question you have to understand. Since corruption, the all MACC Act offences is a criminal in nature, so you have to understand a little bit basic understanding about criminal law. An offence, in order to constitute, the act itself must be an act that is illegal and it is accompanied with evil intention. The same applies with the what is called corruption. So if you receive any gratifications, it's yet an offense because of what the meaning, the words gratification is wide. And if you receive without corrupt intent, it doesn't yet amounting to an offense. But let's say you accept or you give any of these gratifications with corrupt intent, then it's going to be an offense. So since the Act doesn't define what is meant by corruptly, you have to look in one decided case. It is kind of a landmark decisions by the court. In the case of public prosecutor versus Datuk Harun Idris, it is a case that involved the ex-chief minister of Selangor those days. In this case, Raja Azlan Shah defines or elaborates what is corruptly. So when you look at my slides, corruptly basically doing an act knowing that the act is done is wrong, doing so with evil intention, purposely doing an act which the law forbids. So since corruptly is a questions of intention, so how would we infer corrupt intention? So when we look at corrupt intention, basically we will look and we referring what are the circumstantial evidences that is available. Okay, for example, okay, a simple example would be, it is not an offense if you donate any gratification. Let's say during this Ramadan month, or the Muslims are encouraged to donate. You go by now e-wallet donating to any charitable, the orphanage, yeah, to any mosque by e-wallet application, then it is okay. But let's say you donate to a particular person with the intentions to get something, meaning to say you make a Maybank to you transfer to somebody in authority in order to get your business to be registered, for example, and you do the Maybank to you, and in one column the note says that for what purposes you transfer the money, you put you put donation. In that form, it's not a donation which the law allows. It is illegal donation and it is a corrupt act. So done with the concept of gratifications and corrupt intent, now we look what are the offences that are mentioned and provided under the MACC Act. Prior to 2018 April, all offences under the MACC Act applicable to any person, yeah, any person referring to natural person. Okay, basically there are four main offences under the Act itself, whereby first of all the offence of solicits, accepting gratification with corrupt intent. Secondly, the offence of offering and giving gratifications with corrupt intent. Third will be an offence of using document intending to deceive principal by agent. And last but not least, the offence of using office or positions for gratifications. Yeah. But after April 2018, there have been an amendment to the Act itself, whereby in insertion of Section 17A that provides an offence to commercial organizations. I will deal it later. So now first we go the offence of solicits and accepting gratifications. Yeah. So what are the types of solicitations and accepting gratifications? Yeah. Basically, it is whereby you yourself have been asked to pay the bribe for certain reason. For example, you're supposed to be summoned by the enforcement authority, but there's some sorts of negotiations, and at the end, you agreed to pay that amount that's been negotiated. And for example, another example would be, perhaps you want to get some of your processes, your payment processes within some departments to get speeded up, so you pay to a person in order to get it done accordingly, but you have to skip some procedural. But for, I think in past, I think you can still remember those days when we apply for our passport. It takes somewhere weeks to get our passport. But those days, in order to get the passports to be, you want to get it faster, then you have to know the SOP, whereby some person do pay, or the officers asking certain gratifications to speed up so that you can get the passport faster than anybody else. But those days, nowadays, they don't have to pay, because the fastest you will get by a day on the passport applications. Yeah. So the offence of solicits, if you just mere soliciting is an offence. But if you solicit and after that you accept that gratification with corrupt intent, you have committed two different offences with two legal repercussions. I put also an illustration so that you can have a better understanding, and I was told by the organizers that they will provide you all the slides that are going to be presented here. So now we go to the next slides, the offence of, we go to the next slides. Offence of offering and giving gratifications. In this provision, it is, let's say, ourselves have the initiative to offer, to give that gratifications with corrupt intent. For example, the authority is supposed to take actions for us. For example, you drive, you go, you break the law, and that is, during this MCO, and you want to get rid from that officer for taking actions against you, and you offered certain, let's say 50 ringgit in order for cow team, for example. If you do that, and that officer have the right to arrest you and refer your case to MACC. Okay, so again, I put an illustrations for you to have better understanding. All right, next slides. Okay, this is a type of offense. It is an offense of using any document intending to deceive the principal by an agent. In order this offense to be applicable, it must be happen between an agent and principal relationship. Meaning to say, if you an employer, the offense has been committed by your employee. Okay, so what are kinds of examples? Basically, when your staff submits monthly claim for the mileage claims, saying that he's supposed going to, he was asked to go for outstations, let's say in January, he's supposed to go Kedah by using the company's car. All right. So at the end of the month of, let's say in February, he submit his monthly claim to the HR or the financial department, but saying in that statement says that he drove his car to Kedah, but at the end he doesn't drive the car to Kedah, his car, but he's using the office car. If he does that, and the person or the principal or his employer or his supervisor acknowledge the act, discover the act, it as an offense has been committed. Other examples would be, let's say you are from a company, you're supposed to provide some, for example, is in the illustrations, you're supposed to provide, let's say 100 computers to a company. But at the end, your company just delivered 70 computers. It is happened because in your company, one of your staff has colluded with somebody in the company C, okay, instead of delivering 70 computers, it just happened 100 computers, it just happened only 70 computers has been delivered, and the payment was made for the 100 computers has been supplied. Yeah, if let's say that company submit an invoice saying that he supplied 100 computers but then only 70 computers, and if the company C, let's say the store manager, discover that, then it can lodge a report to MACC, an offence has been committed. And again, I want to stress out, there is one type of, a pattern or some norms that is happening either in the government sector or the private sector. It is whereby the staff, those days, doesn't feel quite healthy, little bit a bit dizzy, so or feels like a money blues. He feels that he doesn't want to go to work, and he asks his friend, hello, do you know where are the nearby clinic where I can buy an NMC? Yeah, if you you're not sick, if you're healthy and you go to any valid clinic and you pay some money to get that medical certificate, and after you receive that MC and you submit that MC to your supervisor or to your employee saying that, in that MC says that you are not healthy, you are sick, but in actual you are fit, you are healthy. If let's say you are found by your supervisor, you have been deceived the content, meaning to say you are not sick, you're pretending to be sick, and at the end your supervisor, your employer know about it, again you have committed an offence accordingly. You want more MC, the court can give you more MC at the end. Okay, next slide please. Okay, now it is an offence of using office for or positions for gratifications. So first of all, bear in mind, this offence only applicable for those who are working in a public body and you are an officer of public body. Okay, so with that, again, you have to cross reference with the Act itself, whereby in Section 3, it defines what is public body. Public body meaning to say is a kind of any organization whereby the government or any state government have the controlling powers between that organizations. So a corporation may be a public body by virtue of this Section 3. For example, let's say Petronas, Naga National Berhad is a kind of few examples of corporations that is defined or is between the context of a public body. But if you're a company, you are pure corporate, they have not any controlling powers behind the shareholders, they're all the corporate figures, the corporate people, because it's a family business. So if your organization does not have any of these controlling powers, then you are not a public body. Okay, so for those who are working in a public body and you yourself is a public body, bear in mind, if you use your positions or your office in order to get gratification, is an offense. For example, you are the director of a public body. For example, you are in the company A. Okay, the company A is a public body. Okay, so you are in let's say a facility manager. Okay, so your wife has a company. So on your power as the director, as or a manager, as a facility manager in that company, you give any of these, let's say, any jobs, also to supply utensils, pencils, some books, for let's say supplies of CCTV, okay, installations in your office, you give it to your wife, okay. And bear in mind, your wife, it is defined under what we call the definitions of the relative, okay. Basically, if you are working in public body, you are a public body officer, avoid, never give any job tenders, okay, any to your wife, your family relative, or to your friends. Again, it is a kind of conflict of interest, but it could end up with legal repercussions. Okay. Okay, now we go. If any of those or any of you choose to have, to have a try, this time, if you committed any of these offenses, again, you will be quarantined, but this quarantine is in a hotel, whereby the hotel cinema suite we know as prison, In Klang Valley, we have 2 prisons that is available, that is in Sungai Buloh and Kajang. Any of you or any of us who've committed of these offenses can be sentenced to a maximum 20 years imprisonment, and also perhaps a fine amounting to 10,000 ringgit, a minimum fine, if let's say the amount of the gratification is lesser than 2,000 ringgit. If the amount is 2,000 ringgit and above, then you have to pay the fine 5 times of the amount that involved. Okay, then, so I think it should be clear. So please do not choose be quarantined in this place. Okay, so now we go to what I call a new provisions that have been inserted into the existing act. For your information, it's not a new act have been introduced by the government. It is just a new provisions of law. That is what we call the offense of commercial organizations. It is an offense of section 17 capital A, whereby it provides a commercial organizations commits an offense. Okay, you have to look on the first points that a commercial organizations commits an offense if a commercial organizations commit an offense if a person associated with the commercial organization commits what act? Corruptly agrees to give, promises or offers any persons any gratifications. For what purposes? In order to obtain or to retain business for the commercial organization, or to obtain or to retain an advantage in the conduct of the business for the commercial organizations. Meaning to say is that a company only commits an offense if between that company, the persons associated, I would like to, for easy understanding, anybody that is related with your company can be said as a person associated. And what does offense is committed? Offense of offering and giving gratifications. If let's say your employee, your associated persons accepting gratification with corrupt intent, accepting gratification, soliciting gratification with corrupt intent does not applicable, does not trigger an offense of section 17A. So bear in mind, only the act of offering and giving gratifications with corrupt intent in order to get business, in order to retain business or any source of further advantage. So now we go, what are the commercial organizations that is included under these definitions? First of all, any company, ladies and gentlemen, be it your company has been incorporated under the Companies Act, or your company wherever incorporated. Basically, it is a company. Okay, next slide. Okay, secondly, it is applicable to any partnership-based businesses. If you are not a company by organizations, if you have a business that is partnership-based, yes, again, 17 capital A is going to be applicable. So what are the partnership that is under this 17A? What are the definitions of partnership businesses? Again, it is a partnership that is formed under Partnership Act 1961, that is our local law, a limited liability partnership act, a limited liability partnership registered under the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2012, or again, a partnership wherever it was formed. Okay, so at the end, only a company and partnership-based businesses can be taken action if somebody associated person commits the act as per I said just now. Who are the person associated with the commercial organizations? Basically, it can include any person so long he is somehow, or let's say, A was caught or was arrested for giving 2,000 ringgit to C, and we know that this A give the money for the purpose to get businesses. Okay, so based on our investigations, if that person that have been arrested commits an offense of offering and giving gratifications in order to get businesses or retain businesses or some advantage, then that person is a person associated with the commercial organizations. Yeah, of course, the law explains if you are the director, you have a partner, if you are the employee, or you can be a person who perform the services on behalf of the commercial organizations. But in my opinion is that if let's say a person has been arrested, then we will investigate why he give that money, why he give bribes, why he's offered the gratification with corruption, why he's offered that bribe. Okay, okay, next slides. Okay, this is the determining factor. Who are the persons performing services on the behalf of the commercial organizations? The law says that it's not just by any, a nature of the relationship between him and the company or the partnership businesses. We have to look to all relevant circumstances by, we say, any circumstantial evidences that lead to say that he is performing services for that commercial organizations. Okay. Next slides. All right. If a company, if a partnership businesses committed an offense, okay, in meantime, it's not the persons who offer the bribe, not only the person who give bribes can be taken action, have committed the offense. There are several persons where the law says that he or she are deemed to have committed the offense in the meantime of that person have been arrested for giving bribes. Yeah, who are the persons? Who is the director, controller, officer or partner, or it can anybody that is concerned in the management of its affairs. Meaning to say, let's say I'm working in a company A, I was arrested for giving bribes in order to get businesses in company B. My director in company A, my director, my boss in the company A, or perhaps anybody that is concerned in the management of the affairs of company A can have or may have committed the offense. The law says that is deemed to have committed the offense. But don't worry, you can leave all these further legal repercussions, you can leave this liability if, next slide please, if you could show or if you could prove that the offense was committed without your consent and your connivance. Meaning to say that person who gives bribes, who offers bribe in order to get businesses for the commercial organizations, he or she doing that based on his or her personal accord. It is his or her own initiative, whereby you have your policy, you give policy, anti-corruption policy, yet it happened, your staff, your employees committed that, believing that it is the way how to do businesses. And if you prove that you never consented with that act and you're not colluded with that person, and secondly, you have to prove that you have exercised due diligence to prevent the commissions of the offense as he or she ought to have exercised. Meaning to say you have to have everything in order. The standard operating procedure must be there. Let's say the person have been arrested is a salesperson. So you have to put yourself in his shoes as a salesperson. In what situation you have to provide what are the SOPs that would prevent him from offering and giving bribe while doing sales. You have to put yourself in his shoes. So although you are one of the director of the company, but again, in order to formulate any SOP regarding sales, you have to put yourself in his shoes. Yeah. So if you're able to do this, then don't worry, the deeming provisions is not. You may have your reasons. You can have your defense if the deeming provisions is going to be triggered. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now we talk about penalty. Okay, the penalty would be, it much difference what are the corporate liability provisions in UK, whereby in UK it just provide fine. Okay, but in Malaysia it's not just fine. It provides fine not less than 10 times of the amounts of the gratifications has been involved. And it can be also 1 million ringgit, whichever is higher. Meaning to say, let's say somebody pays, let's say 10,000 ringgit to get businesses from any person, then the calculation would be 1 million ringgit. Okay. If let's say it is above than that, then it have to times by 5. So it can be fine. Yep. It can be imprisonment, again not exceeding 20 years, and it can be both, ladies and gentlemen. So you may be asked by the court, you may ordered by the court to pay the fine after convicted, or you may be imprisoned, or you may be fined and also to have served the sentence accordingly. All right, next slide, please. At the end, yeah. 17 capital A is a kind of a unique provisions whereby it provides a defense. Yeah, a commercial organization may escape this liability, or let's say the company or the partnership-based businesses is going to be charged for the offense. But if the company or if the partnership businesses could provide or could satisfy that, yeah, they have what we call an adequate procedures in place, yeah, not introduced, ladies and gentlemen. If introduced, then that's it, yeah. So you have to prove that you have adequate procedures in place in order to prevent that associated persons from undertaking such conduct. Yeah, if you could prove to the court, if they after have been charged, then it's a defense for you. Basically, if you have adequate procedures to prove before the court. Yeah, if you have all these adequate procedures, then don't worry. Okay, when we talk about adequate procedures, yeah, the government has by the ministry, the minister have issued a minister's guideline. The guideline, what we call the principle of trust. Again, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, you can get a soft copy of this minister's guideline in the internet. Yeah, you don't have to pay anything. In this minister guideline, it laid down what they call the principle of trust, TRUST. The first T represents what we call the top level commitment. It is the tone from the top. If you are the boss, if you are one of the board director, this is whereby you shall play your part, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, what should you do? First of all, you have to issue strong policy statements regarding anti-corruptions. Examples: no give policy, yeah, conflict of interest policy, yeah, whistleblowing policy, yeah. But basically, all the policies that you are going to introduce, make sure it is what we call is not only to supervise, but must ensure that at the end, integrity and good governance are being practiced between the organizations. Again, last but not least, not to be forgetful, as somebody for somebody that is sitting on the top level, you must also what we call some budget to be allocated for human resources, yeah, regarding what are the programs that should be promoted, what are the programs should be organized between your organizations for the purpose in order to comply what we call it is an anti-corruption initiative at the end to serve the purpose. This what we call this initiative going to support your adequate procedures. Yeah, for example, if your company is big, you have 10,000 staff, two personals are adequate, yeah, to cover the whole organizations. Yeah, that's a question to ponder about. Yeah, if let's say you're just 100-person staff, you have 100-person staff, 100 employees. So perhaps just 1 or 2% taken care or being assigned for risk and integrity, that should be okay. Yeah, but 10,000 staff, you only have 2 staff to cover 10,000 staff, is quite a difficult task for 2% to do everything. Okay. So after there be what we call the tone from the top, now it is for the management team to what we call implement, to execute, what are the most effective ways in order to discover what are the risks between your organizations whereby corruption may be happen. So one of the tools that is available right now, you can perhaps do the anti-corruption risk assessment. Yeah, because somebody calls that after you have the corruption risk assessment, you can have the corruption risk management. It's almost like if you have enterprise risk assessment or management, you can have this also. Yeah. So when doing risk assessment with regard to corruption, make sure, yeah, everybody that is sitting in that what we call, you have a workshops. If let's say for those who attending the workshop, make sure they are transparent. Yeah, they being honest, they tell the truth. What are the risks that might involve between that organizations? Because the risk assessments would be the main structure or is the backbone. What are your next your measures? Yeah, because after you have identified the risk, then you know what to do. If you wrongly address, or perhaps you doesn't address the right risk, then you do not have, you're not going to have a better guidance. Yeah, you're addressing a wrong risk, or it's not a right risk to be addressed. Yeah, perhaps it's just as good as cosmetically done. Yeah, it's just good on paper. Yeah, so basically risk assessment, why you have to do that? Because it is to improvise the internal system and to enhance your corporate governance. Yeah, in doing this, perhaps you can do by your own. You can send your staff for training, or you can just appoint any consultants that have the expertise to do this for your organizations. Okay, so next slides. Okay, now the undertake control measures. After you have identified all the risks that might involve between your organizations, then you have to also control what are the control measures. Yeah, based on the minister's guideline, there are some issues that you have to address. Yeah, company policy against corruptions, exercising due diligence, promoting self-reporting, conflict of interest policy, gift and entertainments, donation, sponsorship, and facilitation payment. Make sure all these measures are documented accordingly. Yeah, make sure, let's say you are under investigations, let's say MSC come and visits your office, you want to have access. What are your control measures? Make sure it is in order and it is available. Not to see that, oh, Achong pinjam lah, somebody borrow yesterday lah, I forgot where to put lah, where I put that control, that document. Please make sure it is accessible, especially for the authority when they will do the investigations. Okay, after you have all the measures in place, yeah, sometimes, yeah, the measures you have is simply idealistic. Yeah, you want to address everything, but of course we are human beings. Sometimes these measures we can't implement it 100% the efficiency or its efficacy. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, so there are need whereby in some of these measures, if you realize, yeah, it's just good on the paper, it's just good on the surface, but at the end it defeats the purpose of having that measure. So this is whereby you have to to have a kind of systematic review, monitoring about your ongoing anti-corruption policies and also their anti-corruption program. Yeah, you can appoint external auditor, or you have an internal audit, you can have them to do the checkings. You can also appoint external auditors, yeah, from any firms to do the checkings, and make sure after the audit report have come out, acted on that, improvise. Yeah, and last is regards the enforcement. again, yeah, if you found any of your staff, your employees, even your employer have committed an offense, again, you must act promptly by referring them to the dedicated authorities. Yeah. Okay, the last will be training and communication. Yeah. So when you have training, make sure it is an adequate training for all the employees and employers so that they know, yeah, with regard about corruption, they have to know what are the do and don'ts according to the law. If they know, it's not a good defense, because ignorance of law is not a good defense, especially when you talk about 17A. If let's say your staff keep doing the same practices, give bribes in order to get businesses and be caught after the enforcement date of these provisions, then that's it. Yeah, so you have to ensure adequate training for the employees, and you have to have your policies and procedures also be acknowledged by your employees. You can do that by having sent emails, internal emails to your staff, the gift policy, what are do and don'ts. You can perhaps put a bunting, a banner in your office, and you could invite MACC officers to give some knowledge sharing to your staff. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, I put my number at the end of slide so you can contact me after this. Yeah, so again, you have to organize also what we call the anti-corruption awareness program. Yeah, so now what is that? Let's say, yeah, if within your organization, yeah, in doing businesses, you want to get businesses from another company, or perhaps you want to get businesses from any government agencies. And in doing that, somehow there are persons asking something, this money, duit copy, for example. Do not condone to that. Yeah, if that person asks you to pay something, it is a statutory duty for you to report as soon as possible to MACC. What are the important points you have to remember? First of all, you have to remember date, time, venue of the incident. And first of all, the most important part is that the identity of the offender and any accomplices, if any, and to tell us what is happening in that incident, why does it happening, at where is happening. And let's say you have witnesses is going to support your testimony, yeah, and make sure all these witnesses is available and willingly to come to MACC if, let's say, we conduct investigation, because it's going to help the progress of the case itself. And not to forgetful, you have documents, please, yeah, please give to MACC. Okay, okay, come forward, yeah. During MCO, I believe you can't go to any nearest MACC office, but I think if it is urgent, you can tell the officer in charge at the respective roadblocks you need to go to MACC office because something urgent matters. Okay, but let's say it's not convenient to do so, you may call any of these numbers. Yeah. Perhaps you are working at home, you can send emails to the info@sprm.gov.my, or you can just go to MACC portal. Our complaint management system is ready to serve you from home. And let's say you're kind of old schools, yeah, you don't have PCs, so don't worry, do not, yeah, you just write a good letter and send to PO Box 6000, and hopefully it will reach to MACC office. And if you have any query, you have any questions, you can just simply call me. Okay. Okay, this is the easiest way to lodge report or to feed information regarding corruption offences. Yeah, it's simple as you go to Google Chrome, to Google the App Store or the Google Play. You search for MACC Mobile, then please download this application. It's very helpful for you. Yeah, do not feel worried about the your identity remain confidential. Yeah. So long you didn't print screen and updated in your Facebook account or Instagram account. Yeah, we can assure you your information is remain confidential. So with that, thank you very much for this briefing about the Act, the offences under the MACC, the 17 capital A, offences against commercial organizations, and what are the adequate procedures that the law expects, yeah, based on the minister's guideline. Okay, so with that, if there are any questions, also at the slides, I put my number there. You may call me, you may WhatsApp me, yeah, you may send me a Telegram, you may send me SMSs, and below there is my my email. You can send email to me regarding anything or any questions. Yeah, if let's say you want to lodge reports, you want to talk with me regarding anything, yeah, I can do the mediation, but at the end, it's not me, it's not myself, is going to conduct in the investigation. I'm not the person. If let's say you want to report any possible corrupt act that happened, somebody asks you to pay bribes, I'm not the investigations officer. I'm just a mediator that will help you, let's say, to introduce you with the departments that is in charge regarding to investigations. Yeah, feel free to add me as a friend in my Facebook account with the name of Muhammad Noor, and feel free to add me because in my social media account, I updated what are the activities of the MACC. Okay, with that, that's all for now, and I would love to have questions from any of you guys. All right.
Thank you very much, Tuan Lokman. I'm going to pass the floor down to Surin, and if you have any questions, just put it in the Q&A section and we'll take it right after.
Okay, thank you everyone. Are you able to see my screen, Norman?
Okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So, so thank you, Tuan Lokman. It was a very good awareness session for all of us. I think most of the businesses are here, business owners are here. I think definitely they have a takeaway from the session earlier. So what I'm going to cover is basically just to help the last portion that Tuan Lokman keep on emphasizing, which is the part of where as an employer or organization, you need to make sure that you already have a system or policies or procedures in place to make sure that you can actually send out the policies, ensure that you actually broadcasting the right policies to your employees, and make sure that they acknowledge and they understand and they also accept, and you have all that track, right? So generally what is necessary in terms of for us as an organization to stay relevant, being compliant with the law, is definitely we need a policy acceptance system, because even as a technology concierge, we have observed is often companies tell us that, oh, actually we are a business, but then can we use a home version of Windows operating system to run in our PC? Then we ask them why. No, because it's cheaper and we can share. And then the second general offense that we always see, not to say offense, a general observation that we always see is that, oh, we want to share our IDs. And then that partner can actually give us a home version of license for us to use in our business because we can share IDs. So all this actually what it leads to is basically you are not staying compliant with the law, that either it could be any law related to MCMC or even MACC or anything. So this is something that we want to make sure that employer or even a business owner, please do understand that if you are a business owner, you need to use all the platforms and tools that is relevant for businesses and not use for the one that relevant for home use. So that is some example. And like what Tuan Lokman mentioned earlier is that we often see some claim frauds, some leave application frauds, all these are happening. So this is where we want to showcase a simple platform that combines a lot of services, but then this particular platform, what it does is, in terms of a general problems that we often see, like what Tuan Lokman mentioned is that, yes, we have these new laws. Malaysian Anti Corruption Policies requires all companies in Malaysia to ensure staff is properly briefed, trained, and accepts that graft is not tolerated in the country. That is something that we want to emphasize as well. And the other part is on the Multimedia Commission, MCMC, once makes every company's board of directors liable and responsible in data breaches within the company. So we often see data breaches is being common these days, especially even in a large corporations, right? So how do we ensure that we already have a policies or procedures for us to make sure that we have cascade the relevant information to all of our employees, and employees understand that this should not be happening, right? And they should not commit to the offense. And many companies do not even have an employee handbook, let alone an anti-graft policy. Yeah, so this is quite common actually, because even us as a technology concierge, when we go to any organization, we often see that they do not have a proper IT policy in place, security policy in place, conflict of interest policy, anti-bribery policy. I think all these policies is just as policies without even being broadcasted directly to the organization employees, which is very crucial, right? The last part is companies unable to track who has actually received, signed and accepted company policy. So we often see that companies say that, oh no, I sent an email. I did every Monday we are sending one new policy to our employees. But the question is, okay, what happened to those emails? Where it goes? It goes to junk, because we have seen some employees actually like to save the name of the bosses and make sure create a new rules and then direct it to a separate folder that they don't want to see, or probably only see when there is a payout time, right? So we want to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen, so we can know who is actually reading those announcements, reading those policies, and track it accordingly, right? So this is what we want to showcase today. A solution that enables to allow the company to attach and distribute new or updated policies, right? Ensures management is aware who has received, opened, read, and accepted the policy. Automatically remind users who have not taken any action. So for example, if you already send an email and the person does not accept or read, you can actually know that the person doesn't accept and doesn't read, and you can actually send a reminder. So having said this is basically to ensure that you as an employer have already taken your role seriously and have sent enough reminders to the employees, even after trainings or even training reminders. So like there's an online training that they're supposed to take and they haven't completed that yet. So all these kind of things that you're actually trying to broadcast through the system, right? And produces real-time reports on the status of each policy distribution. So whether it's really landing directly to the employee's mailbox or not, whether they have read that or not, what actually happened to the policy and all this. So I would like to take straight to how does this system look like. Of course, we know that it helps you to do enough monitoring, and it helps you to do enough tracking. Of course, that is in terms of theory, but then let's really look at the actual flow that happens, right? So as an admin, for example, we want to talk about this anti-bribery policy, right? So as an admin, so you create this policy, and then what you do is you push it through the system, policy acceptance system. And what this policy acceptance system does is it generates out an email to the recipient. So of course, you can determine which recipient that you want to, whether it's just one particular department or the entire department, or even external parties that associated with the company, like what Tuan Lokman mentioned. Anyone related to your companies is someone that associated with the company. So you can actually do that as well. And then what happens is the real-time update and reports and so on. So all these are theory. Let's look at a short few second video that explains exactly or illustrate exactly what I'm trying to say, all right? So this is how it works. So if you notice in up corner there that you can see claims, leaves, subscription, and notification. So for example, I can put a reminder, say that, okay, please do not violate your claim process. So I'm creating a notification now. I'm putting the subject. So I can choose if someone accept. So I can even rename the button name as accept, right? And then I can allow a customized accepted screen optional. Okay, maybe after accept, I just want to create a call confirm. Here is something that I can choose to which person that I want to send the notification to, whether it's a relevant department, a specific department, or even in general. This is where I can observe all those notifications that I sent before, whether it have reached and what actually happened. If someone doesn't read, should I resend? First time resend. Should I resend second time? That means this is to touch back what Tuan Lokman mentioned just now, is that if you'll notice how many times as an employer you are taking initiative to actually remind your employees. That means whether you have done all the parts from your side or not. So the next part is you can observe the claims. You can observe even the leaves in one single system. This is what we call as the whole entire value-added service from what VLAN is providing. So this policy acceptance system is not just about policy. You can see on the right corner, bottom there is an export report that comes out. So this is where you can click and then you can export the report. Okay. Due to interest of time, I couldn't show much on the detail on how the exact reporting looks like. So this is something that we can actually have a discussion separately on, right? And just to emphasize again, so basically having this kind of system, what are the benefits that you're going to see? First, as a company, you're trying to safeguard from reputation damage, right? The next part is definitely when, even if you are bound to any investigation, you do have a real-time reporting, right? And the next part is mitigate risk of lawsuits, like what I mentioned. So even if during any investigation or not, you already safeguard with the process that you have at the moment. Like what Tuan Lokman mentioned, it's not about introducing, it's about you already have a proper process in place. And the last, definitely to reduce costs and time. So definitely you don't want to of course you can send them for any awareness training, you can send them for you can do a workshop and whatsoever, but then ultimately in terms of a tangible tracking and mechanism, in terms of tangible report mechanism, you need to make sure that you can show a data to say that someone really presented at the time, someone already accepted this invite, someone already accepted this anti-bribery announcement, conflict of interest announcement. All this, it has to be tracked and monitored so that as an organization, you safeguard yourself. So, and of course, it's environmentally friendly because you are making sure that you're sending from one single system and all this information are being loaded into one single repository area. So this is where it's coming and touching back what Tuan Lokman mentioned, is that make sure your systems are accessible, make sure the data that you track is accessible, it's available out there all the time, and it's secure. Definitely it has to be secure. And the most importantly is it has all the tracking in place, right? So this is what we have we're calling as policy acceptance system. It's a cloud-based system. Definitely it's a cloud-based system. So availability is taken care of, accessibility is taken care of, security is taken care of. Last but not least, what we need action from you as business owners. This kind of systems, what it does is, it is the enforcement from your side. Because often we hear that, oh yeah, I've been sending emails. Oh, they accept it. Oh, it's not my fault if they do that. So we can't get away with this kind of reasons, excuses. So make sure that having this kind of system in place, it helps you to track and make the enforcement easier. This is also allows, because you can customize as and when you want, and it's just with a single button, right? You're going to do all this. So it cultivates the policy adaptabilities, because we often have change in policies. We might have enhancement in policies, but all this you want to make sure that you educate employees at the right time and right place. So this is how this kind of systems can cultivate the policy adaptabilities. And last but not least, all this is basically to make sure that we maintain the adherence to our law. So this is what we call as perpetuating law adherence, right? So it's a simple 10 minutes from me. If you all have any question, please feel free to post in the Q&A session. And at the same time, I'll leave this slide open as well. Please make sure that you guys go ahead and scan this QR code and provide us the feedback, because from this feedback is the one that we will know that what are the takeaways that you all got from this event, and is there some kind of follow-up of this topic that we need to be doing in our subsequent webinars. So, yep, that's all. Thank you, Norman, back to you.
Thanks, Surin. Thanks, Surin, for that. Okay, just take two questions because we're running short of time. Tuan Lokman, there's one question that came in, and they're asking that, how about unincorporated businesses? Is that part of the Act?
Okay, for unincorporated businesses, meaning to say it's a kind of sole proprietorship, then it's not under 17A. Yeah, 17A doesn't applicable to a sole proprietorship. Okay, it's only applicable for company and partnership businesses because the law is clear about that. Okay, unless perhaps after the law has been enforced, there are some decided cases by the courts. They maybe have some source of their own understanding and definitions. Then we have to wait about that definition. Yeah? For the time being, we just stick what the law says that. The law says that only company, wherever incorporated, and partnership, wherever partnership is formed, only these two entities, 17 capital A is going to be applicable. All right.
Okay, and then the next question is how to prove the company does not give consent particularly. Is there a way we can do that?
It is a kind of subjective, yeah, because at the end it will depends on our investigations, yeah, because the person have been arrested for offering or giving bribes. That's the trigger point, yeah. Let's say that person have been arrested, we'll interrogate, and based on the interrogations, it is somehow linked to the perhaps one of the directors or the management team does at the end give the direction for him to give money in order to get businesses. Basically, it's a kind of subjective and it depends on the investigation itself. There is no straightforward answer for that. Yeah.
Okay, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much, Tuan Lokman, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you, Surin, for your presentation. Thanks everyone for joining us. We hope that you had a good learning session and we hope to see you next week for the next session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, Tuan.